think my father helped a lot, because he was a miserable man, and his mission in life was that I would become his successor, and I would carry on in the same misery that he was involved in, and that didn't attract me very much, So he wanted me to take over the family business. But as long as I can remember, from when I was a small kid, right, my mother used to say, "Shh, your father's coming home, he has a headache." And I thought, how does she know? Right? And then he would come, and then he would have a headache every day. Of course, she knew that he had a chronic headache, so I didn't understand it at that time. So I thought it was mystic power, And, but he always had a headache, And then, as I grew up, I began to understand more the nature of the headache, and then I was supposed to become his successor. Well, thanks a lot. So that was convincing, So I thought, no. So one day it was also, of course, the 60s. I'm from that time. I was just sort of growing up in the 60s, So 60s was a time where in Europe and America it was a special time. We were the generation who our parents had been in the war. Finish your plate. Your parents had eaten tulip bulbs in the war. How many times I had to hear it, And then, and then the whole country was destroyed, and they rebuilt the country after the war. And then in sort of 1965, they did it, They did it. But they were so it was all about material development. And then in 1965, there came that reaction where we just all said, like, well, we became the ungrateful generation, We said, our parents said, "Here, my dear children, we did all this for you." And we said, "But we never asked for it." That's what happened. And then, so many were sort of dropping out. Well, me too. I really dropped out. I dropped out of high school before my final exam. I was fed up, and I just said, "Goodbye, I'm not doing it." And dropped out. And I told my parents, I'm going to India. My mother freaked out. My father got angry. And I told him, "Well, I'm going." He said, then I won't give you a cent." I said, "That's all right. I don't need that much money, and I can make some." Well, that shocked him, because money was everything for him, So, anyway, so that's how I started searching, and then eventually, through India and reading about India, I became a vegetarian. I was from Holland, I think you've heard about Holland, maybe even been there, but in the place where I lived, the hashish dealer was next door. 3 houses down, there was the heroin, and around the corner, the cocaine. And then, if you walked out of the street, there were 20 or 30 bars, so I was right in the middle of the action, so to speak, right? And I just had enough of all that, So when I came to India, I just came on a pilgrimage, and I thought, forget it, I mean, this is all useless. See, when I was 13, suddenly the Beatles came to my country, long hair, and they made a revolution. From that day, no boy in my country ever went to the barber again. That was it. No way, So I didn't go either. No, couldn't do. And then in my town, there was a youth center called the Electric Center. And this Electric Center, it had a big staircase going all the way up to the ceiling, and you could see the wall up to the ceiling. It had a big green fluorescent man painted on the wall. And upstairs was a tea house, and it had screen doors that were closing, and in that tea house there were tropical birds flying around. And guess what? People were smoking up there. So, yes, ganja, in case you didn't get it. Friends from India, that was the new thing. That was the thing. They got it from the sadhus in India, so you can't blame them. No, I got it from them only. Yes. The hippies were imitating the sadhus from India, so, you know, don't you go, these hippies, dum maro dum. Nothing like that. No. So we tried it, because if you didn't try it, then you were outcast. Everyone in school tried it.
We have to try once.
Huh?
We have to try it.
At least. What?
We'll become Krishna conscious.
He said we have to try it once at least then.
You also, huh?
We have to try it once, then we get into Krishna consciousness.
Well, just wait to the story. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Anyway, so we tried that and a few other things, and then. But when I came to India, I realized this is all rubbish. When I gave it up. Yes. You missed that part of the story. Yes. Anyway, so I read some books, you know, about India. Gradually, also a book from Hare Krishna. But I wasn't going to surrender. No way. Not to these Hare Krishnas. They're strange, you know, extraterrestrials. Guys with bald heads, and little antennas on their heads. No way. No, so that wasn't my plan. But then I got a girlfriend who had a dog. And you know the name of the dog? Krishna. So I was always calling Krishna, 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 and in that way I became actually Krishna conscious, because it was chanting. If you chant the name of Krishna, you become Krishna conscious. It works like that. So the dog also helped, then the books I read helped. So in that way, it sort of happened. Question?